There are moments the media hopes you forget ever happened. Moments that they try to rush past, reframe, or quietly bury once the camera stopped rolling. This was one of those moments. Because when Joe Rogan replayed that CNN interview with Nancy Pelosi, it wasn't just embarrassing, it was dangerous. Not just for viewers, but for the system. You see, Pelosi didn't lose her composure by accident. Pelosi lost it because she was asked a question she wasn't supposed to be asked on a network that usually protects her. And CNN tried to move on fast. Medicaid, anniversary, talking points, anything but the trades, right? But here's the problem, guys. Now it's 2025. Congressional stock trades are exploding in the public view. $1 million positions, perfect timing, fortunes growing faster than any average American could ever dream of. And the old excuses, they don't land anymore. Meanwhile, Donald J. Trump, he's back in the White House, the political climate has completely shifted, and suddenly the question that used to be off limits aren't so off limits anymore. And that CNN moment, oh, it didn't age out. In fact, it aged into relevance. Because when you connect Pelosi's reaction, the money, the trades, the silence, and the growing fight to ban congressional stock trading altogether, you start to see why that clip was never meant to survive. Well, tonight, folks, we're connecting all of it, all the dots right here in one spot. And once you see the full picture, you're going to understand why they wanted you to forget this ever happened. Make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I really appreciate you guys. We are growing by the numbers, and don't forget to subscribe for all the new viewers. Now, here's what the media miscalculated. That CNN interview with Nancy Pelosi wasn't supposed to matter anymore. It aired, it passed, and in their minds, it was pretty much filed away as old news. But timing is everything, and Joe Rogan, he understood that better than they did. Because when Joe Rogan resurfaced that clip, it wasn't about nostalgia, it was about collision, okay? Collision with 2025, collision with exploding congressional stock trades and congressional stock trade disclosures. In fact, collision with the public patience finally running out, and collision with Donald J. Trump back in the office, where institutional protection doesn't mean what it used to mean, okay? The media assumed that the moment had expired, but it didn't. It matured. The audience is different now. People track trades, they follow filings, they understand the patterns, and suddenly the uncomfortable CNN exchange isn't awkward anymore, it's revealing. And so this is why this particular moment matters now. Not because Pelosi said something new, but because America finally hears it differently. Now, watch how fast the deflection happens, okay? Pelosi didn't walk into that interview expecting a real question. She came armed with talking points, Medicaid anniversary, legacy framing, safe ground. And the second that insider trading came up, I mean, you can pretty much feel the shift. Her tone changed, her body language tightened, the script broke. She immediately tried to redirect. That's not what I came here to discuss. Now that line right there, that tells you everything. Because when someone is confident, they go ahead and answer. When someone panics, they escape. And CNN tried to help her do exactly just that. Move on, pivot, smooth it over, but viewers aren't stupid. They sensed it instantly. This discomfort, the irritation, the forced calm, that wasn't calm at all. In fact, that wasn't a denial. It was an exit strategy, a moment meant to pass unnoticed. And Joe Rogan, he made sure it did not pass unnoticed. And so this is why this clip never disappeared. It waited, and now under the weight of 2025 scrutiny, it tells a very different story. Now we hit the wall that they never wanted you to look at too closely, the math. Nancy Pelosi did not invent a new tech company. She didn't build a global brand. She didn't sell a startup. She served in Congress for decades on a salary that even at its peak hovered around $170,000 per year salary. And yet today, the Pelosi household sits north of $400 million. Now that gap matters. It matters because long-term investing doesn't magically turn a public servant into one of the most successful stock market performers in American history, does it? No, it does not. Not at those rates, not with those rates of return, not with that level of trading consistency. And so this is the question that legacy media refuses to ask out loud. How does public service create generational wealth on a scale that outperforms the Wall Street legends themselves? I mean, Jim Cramer ought to be taking notes from Nancy Pelosi, right? Because if the answer were simple, it would already be explained. Instead, we get silence, deflection, and character shields. And once Americans start doing the math for themselves, the story changes real fast. And this is exactly how people get blindsided in systems that they think are working for them. Now, one viewer reached out after a heart scare. Real emergency, real panic. He did what anyone else would do. He went to the closest hospital. Only afterward did he find out that the hospital wasn't covered under his Medicare plan. He told us, "I didn't know. I just went where they would take me." And that's all it takes. One moment, one emergency, one hidden detail buried in fine print that you were never warned about. That's why I partner with Chapter, folks. Chapter helps people find and fix those blind spots before life tests them, reviewing your Medicare coverage for free for you so that you're not guessing when it matters the most. Now, most people, they don't wait anymore. They're already dialing the phone number right there at the bottom of your screen, 909-563-8279, or they're visiting the link down below in the description of this video, askchapter.org/Ron, to make sure that their plan actually works for them when they need it. Again, it's a completely free service for the Ron Yates community because just like with money and power, the system only feels safe until the moment it isn't. And then comes the line that you've heard 100 times because it's carefully designed to end the conversation. "I don't trade, my husband does." Now on paper, it sounds clean, legally tidy, emotionally distancing, but probability doesn't care about excuses. And probability is rather ruthless because we're not talking about one lucky trade or two. We're talking about years and years of near perfect timing. Stocks dumped shortly before investigations, positions taken just ahead of massive policy shifts, gains that hit again and again and again. Meanwhile, the rest of the market guesses. Now, at some point, coincidence collapses under volume. No one believes a private citizen operating blind consistently outperforms the market for decades using nothing more than intuition. But living next to one of the most powerful lawmakers in the country, well, maybe that gives you a little bit of insider knowledge. I'm just saying, who knows, right? Well, this is why the alibi doesn't land anymore. It's not about who clicked buy. It's about who had access to what knowledge and when. And that's where the story stops being comfortable. So here's where everything changes. In 2025, congressional stock trading stopped being an abstract complaint and it became a rolling data dump. Filings, disclosures, trade trackers, social media threads breaking down buys and sells in real time. So what used to require digging now shows up in headlines. And it's not just one party. It's red and blue, House and Senate, career politicians quietly pulling in million-dollar gains while publicly debating policies that directly affect those same industries. You see, this is why the anger feels different this time. You know, people aren't reacting to rumors, they're reacting to receipts. The numbers are visible, the timing is documented, and the patterns keep repeating themselves. Somebody's getting over here. Transparency hit a tipping point. So once voters saw how common this behavior really is, the question shifted away from, is this happening, to why is this still being allowed? And then all of a sudden, that old CNN moment, it doesn't look so isolated, does it? In fact, kind of looks like an early crack before the flood. Because when you line up the trades against the timeline, all the excuses fall apart. Stocks sold before investigations, positions exited just ahead of the lawsuits, cybersecurity bets placed right before lawmakers were briefed on national security threats. That's not market instinct. That is informational advantage. Now, agencies like the Department of Justice and the federal trade commissions don't act overnight. Investigations take time, and lawmakers often know long before the public does. Now, that's a real edge, not brilliance, not luck. I'm talking about access. Access that the average Joe doesn't have access to, okay? And access turns investing into something else entirely. Because when you're trading with knowledge the public can't legally have, the market stops being fair. It stops being free. It starts becoming curated, if you understand what I'm saying here. This is why this story keeps growing. The closer you look at the timing, the harder it becomes to call it coincidence. And so this is the point that Joe Rogan made that really rattled people. And it's the one that nobody in Washington wants debated. Nancy Pelosi isn't the outlier. She's the cleanest example. I mean, when you pull back and look at the congressional trading as a whole, the pattern is bipartisan. Red, blue, Democrats, Republicans. Different districts, same result. Lawmakers leaving office with wealth that makes no sense on paper, protected by silence on both sides. And so this is why reform never gets anywhere. Because banning congressional stock trading would require politicians to vote against their own financial advantage. And nobody rushes to shut down a system that's paying them dividends, right? I mean, these folks are being paid handsomely. That's like asking them to come clean and stop taking all this free money. Basically, it's a club. It's an unspoken agreement. As long as nobody forces the issue, everyone eats. That is the uni-party reality. Not ideological unity, but financial alignment. And once voters recognize that, the outrage stops being partisan and it starts being personal. And so that's when the system gets nervous. Now we need to add the variable they didn't plan for. Well, folks, Donald J. Trump is back in the White House, and that alone changes the calculus. Not because of speeches, but because of leverage. You see, the institutional safety net that once protect powerful lawmakers isn't guaranteed anymore under Donald Trump's administration. In fact, investigations that used to stall don't automatically stall. Questions that were once brushed off don't disappear with a press release. This is why old moments suddenly feel new again. That CNN clip now hits harder because the consequences feel real. The assumption of permanent immunity is gone. Now, this isn't about revenge, it's about exposure. And for the first time in years, the political environment, it allows uncomfortable truths to stay uncomfortable. And so this is why the panic is real this time. The system senses momentum, and momentum is dangerous when accountability is back on the table. And so this is where the pressure finally breaks the surface. Once congressional trades become impossible to ignore, the calls for a ban got louder and suddenly the unity vanished. Republicans fractured. Some demanded an outright ban on lawmakers trading individual stocks. Others stalled, delayed, redefined the terms, asked for carve-outs. That split tells you something, because if banning congressional trading was easy, it would have happened years ago. The resistance isn't ideological, it's financial. The louder the calls get, the clearer it becomes who has something to lose here. And so, even with Donald J. Trump back in office, not everyone wants this fight. Some want it buried, some want it studied, some want it watered down. And that's the reveal, guys. When accountability becomes real, support suddenly becomes conditional. The ban fight didn't exist when exposure was theoretical. It exists now because the money trail is public and it's uncomfortable. And this is why legacy media can't control this story anymore. CNN wanted that Pelosi moment to pass. Segment over, topic changed, audience redirected. The playbook used to work because viewers had nowhere else to go. But Joe Rogan represents the shift. Independent platforms, just like the Ron Yates channel, we don't need permission. We don't rely on access. We don't have to protect relationships. Joe Rogan didn't move on because he didn't have to. He replayed the moment, he reframed it, and he dropped it back into the public conversation at the worst possible time for the system and for Nancy Pelosi. This is why the reaction was so strong. This wasn't just about Pelosi, it was about control. And control is slipping fast. So when millions can revisit moments that the media once forgotten, the narrative no longer belongs to gatekeepers. It belongs to the audience. Now, here's why this focus always comes back to Nancy Pelosi. Not because she's the only one, not even because she's the worst one, but because she represents the system perfectly. Polished, protected, insulated for decades. She's been in leadership. She's been in the room. She's been adjacent to every major legislative move that shaped entire industries. Anybody ever heard of NVIDIA? Man, Paul Pelosi made a killing on NVIDIA. That makes her the symbol. So when people hear her name, they don't just think of one trade, they think of a pattern of power that never seems to lose, of wealth that keeps growing for her no matter what happens to everyone else in the market. Well, symbols matter because systems fall symbol first. Once the public stops accepting the explanation attached to the symbol, the credibility of the entire structure starts to wobble. This is why this story sticks. Nancy Pelosi isn't the exception. She's the cleanest case study. And once people accept that, the conversation doesn't stop with her, it spreads. Now, here's a real takeaway, and this is why this issue isn't going away in 2026. Voters can now connect the dots. Money, power, policy, timing. They don't need conspiracy theories when the disclosures speak for themselves. And once that connection is made, it doesn't break. Accountability used to be fringe, a niche complaint, something brushed off as partisan noise. That era is over. The question isn't whether congressional trading stays under scrutiny. It's who gets pulled into the spotlight next. Because systems don't collapse overnight. They crack. Then they fracture. Then they face pressure from every direction all at once. That CNN moment wasn't a mistake. It was a preview. Joe Rogan didn't create the problem. He exposed the pressure point. And now the system has to answer a question that it's avoided for years. If this is all normal, why does it all fall apart the moment people start paying attention? Like, subscribe, share this video. We'll see you next time.